And Charlie Wellington scored! Goodness me! In the 5th minute of additional time had put Leyton Orient in front. And Leyton Orient have come from behind and surely have picked up 3 precious points.
Welcome to Orient Live. The O's are back in action today and in familiar territory as well as we travel to Edgeley Park. We've got some good memories in recent years and hopefully the O's can get back to winning ways today. And I'm delighted to be joined here for now in the studio by Jordan Graham. Joe Woodson will be stepping in very shortly. We've got Nigel Travis ready and waiting to join us. But first, Jordan, let's just quickly touch on the game today. It's been a mad week or so since I think we last had a game. Near enough not a whole new squad, but a very different feeling squad.
Yeah, not too far off it, Ollie. It's been a very busy final end to the transfer window, which is obvious to see. But you know, I was at the stadium around the boys on Tuesday and Wednesday earlier this week, and there just seems to be a real lift throughout the whole group, and that's players and staff included. I think Richie may have touched on it as well, but it just seems like the energy is coming back into the squad and it's just freshened a lot of things up. We've brought in some really good players. And as you can see from the starting 11 today, there's been, a lot of those new faces are involved from the get-go. The last time we were at Stockport, we had very fond memories of that game, getting us into the playoff final. So I'm really looking forward to this game today. I'm really looking forward to watching the new players play and how they settle in. We've got some really good characters in the group that will, be there for them and ease them in and hopefully learn the style of play and how we want to play. And hopefully they adapt pretty quickly and they get off to a flying start.
Well, let's go over to the other side of the Atlantic then and join the chairman, Nigel Travis. Nigel, 9 in, 9 out. As a chairman, probably apart from maybe the first window where there was a lot of ins, one of the busiest is your time here at Orient? We're not receiving Nigel at the moment. I don't know if you can hear us, Nigel. I think we're struggling with your connection. Hopefully we can get you soon. We'll get working on that one. Hopefully we'll be able to get Nigel live and direct. But 9 in, 9 out, that is a big amount. I mean, Richie must be quite pleased with how things went, you think, on the whole?
Yeah, I think it was, like he's mentioned in a couple of interviews that he's done recently, I think it was a kind of slow start really with the transfer window, and then all of a sudden it seemed to explode towards the end. And it can be difficult in January because certain players are waiting on certain moves and certain teams are waiting to get certain players out before they let them go somewhere else. And obviously the scouting department that we've got at the club with Joe Austin and Lingy and obviously the gaffer himself, they don't just want to bring people in for the sake of it. They want to make sure that they're bringing in the right characters, players that they believe that can really add to the group and buy into the way that we play. So it's I know from a fan's perspective sometimes it can be frustrating when you're not seeing too much movement and you're always refreshing the Twitter feed or the X feed and you're waiting for an announcement, and I totally get that. But from the club's point of view, you have to and from the scouting department and higher up, they've got to make sure that they get these signings right, especially in the predicament that the club unfortunately finds itself in league table wise. These signings are really important because they're coming in to make a big difference and hopefully push up the table for a strong second half of the season.
You touched on it already. But we've got some real good memories at Edgeley Park. We seem to do very well there. In the league, in that playoff game, it was a fantastic night. What an opportunity it would be with a freshened up squad to try and kickstart this season. Yeah,
absolutely. I think this one is slightly different circumstances in terms of, we are probably we're not in a place where we were the last couple of times that we've gone there in terms of form. And they're absolutely flying, in fairness to them. They're having a fantastic season. Dave Challen has been there a while. He's pretty much kept the core group of what he's had for quite a long time now. So all the players know each other really well. They seem to have gelled. They seem to have clicked at the right time. They've got obviously now joint top scorer, I think, in the league in Carl Wootton with Don Ballard. So that's going to be a competition today to see who can. Both of those will be desperate to get on the score sheet. But like you touched on earlier, I think today it's a good game for us. We've got good memories there. We've got a fresh squad now. There's new energy. The boys are feeling confident now, I would say. There's a lot more confidence in the group already, even though the new signings have only been here a week or so, really, the ones that we signed on deadline day. I still think they've bought into, from what I saw from the sidelines on Tuesday and Wednesday at the stadium when they were training, the energy and the vibe seems to be really high. So hopefully they can carry that over into this game. And like you said, we've done really well there in the past. So hopefully those good omens, work out for us today, and we leave there with 3 points.
Right then, we're going to take a short break to try and get in touch with Nigel on the other side of the pond and get his audio up and running. And we're also going to hear from the manager. It's the gaffer. I'm sure he's got a lot to say. It's Richie Wellens, and then into the break.
Is lunch at work awesome? If so, tune out now. If not, keep listening. Picture this: chef-made meals from local restaurants brought right into your workplace. No sad sandwiches, no tired menus. By tapping into the local restaurant scene, Fuda powers workplace dining for companies across the U.S., giving teams flavor, convenience, and authenticity. Half of Glassdoor's best places to work have partnered with Fuda. Is your team ready to upgrade its workplace food scene? Find out how at Fuda.com. That's FOODA.com.
You have a choice. You can waste 20, maybe 30% of your media budget, spend millions reaching bots, the wrong people, or no one at all. Or just use 0 to 1. It knows who's ready to buy. It's over 85% accurate. Zero wasted spend. The future of marketing isn't guessing. It's knowing.
Gaffer, before we head into the Stockport County game, let's just talk about the January transfer window as a whole. How do you feel about that?
Well, I don't think it's ideal when you have to bring so many bodies in a window. However, certain circumstances arose, certain things happened, which meant we've signed 25 players this year, which is unbelievable, really, isn't it? So we think we've needed to do what we've needed to do in the last 4 or 5 days ago. Obviously, I'm speaking to you 3 days after the window's closed, so very hectic. Everyone's worked as hard as he could. I would have liked the people in earlier, but the chairman and David was very supportive. And after the game on Saturday, the Port Vale game, they agreed to give us some more money. So then we're looking around the Sunday day, all day Monday, and it's probably the only transfer window that I've ever had where the chairman's give us money and actually spent it, because some were too late. We just couldn't get them done. Or by the time we make phone calls, people have decided to go elsewhere. So I think what we had available with the money that we had to spend and the options that we had, I think we've made the best of it.
Have you had a busier deadline day?
No, but I've never known it where a goalkeeper gets injured in a warm-up and other situations. And listen, let's be honest, our loan players have been unbelievable in the last 3 years. Whether you go from the very, very start of it, the likes of Shaq Ford, the young ones then, the goalkeepers that we've had, Sol Bryn, always had really, really, really good loan players. And this year it hasn't worked. But it's not like we're making mistakes buying players for millions of pounds. We're signing young players that are making the way in the game, so we're going to make mistakes. I don't understand how people don't make mistakes. If you keep signing young players or young loan players, you're going to make mistakes.
Right, we're still working hard to get contact with Nigel, but for now we'll bring Joe Widdowson back into the fold. Joe, pleasure to have you here. As you were probably hearing, before you came back on, but a big game today. Yep. Stockport. I mean, it's not a must-win just yet, but we do need a result, and it would be good to get one soon.
Yeah, of course. I think it's a tough game. First of all, I think obviously they're doing really well, been strong this season. I think they've kind of continuously built and progressed, haven't they, over the last few years. Had a lot of continuity at the club, with the manager and a lot of the personnel and the players there. But as you guys were saying earlier, it's a place where we've gone and had success in the past. Putting good performances, so good memories. I know the squad's looking obviously a little bit different now. But yeah, I think there's no reason why we can't go. It looks the lineup today looks really positive. So I think, hopefully we can go there, full of confidence and attack the game and take the game to them. And like I said, Don Ballard in great goal scoring form. I think Wotton for them has also been, scored his fair share of goals as well. So it should be a good contest. I think, as well, like Stockport are always really strong, physical, very kind of workman-like team. So I think if we can kind of match their physicality and hopefully manage to impose our game on them and get the ball down and play, should be a good contest.
Let's come on to the starting lineup for the O's then, and 4 players making their debut after joining in the January deadline day. Starting in goal is our number 21. It's Toby Oluwayemi. He's joined on a short-term contract from his release from Celtic. James Morris starts at left back. He's a permanent transfer in from Watford. Sean Clare is at right back, and Dan Happy is at the back alongside the new club captain Will Forrester. Dylan Levitt starts in midfield following his transfer from Hibernian, and he partners Tyreek Bakinson. Ollie O'Neill and Theo Archibald are behind the striker, and Favour Fawunmi, who is on loan from Stoke, plays in there as well. That formation has him down as a 10, but I think we'll come on to that. We've got some question marks over that one. And Don Ballard, of course, leads the line. And on the bench is Killian Carhill, Caelan Casey, Jack Simpson, Charlie Wellens, Azim Abdullah, Josh Cromer and AJ Matthews. So many debuts, so many unknowns.
Yeah, so many unknowns. But that's what makes it exciting sometimes. And also, it's I think, like I touched on earlier, the quality of players I think are really good. I think they've made some really good signings there. So I'm really excited to watch them play and watch them grow and gel. And like Joe touched on there, the difference is that you've got one club here who, like I said earlier, and Dave Challoner, who's had a pretty much, for the last 3 years, a real core group, and he hasn't really lost many of those players. So, and then on the other hand, you've got our Orient that have lost so many players and gained so many new players. It's something that Richie consistently mentions in his interviews, and it's true. It is difficult to keep chopping and changing players, but then expecting to find that constant rhythm. And that's really difficult in football, to find that balance. You look at the past, like we had Ethan and we had Kelman and we had Josh Keeley and Dan Aggie, and then when you lose those players and bring in some new players and they don't quite hit the ground running and it takes time to gel, Stockport are almost the opposite. They've almost kept pretty much that core group for such a long time. So it's going to be a test for us. They're in some really good form, and I don't really like using the word free hit in football, especially when you've got a group as talented as ours. But for us now, I just think we're going to go up there today with a whole load of new, fresh energy. Some players that are really excited and hungry to impress. And like Joe mentioned, we've had a good record there. The last couple of times I think we won 4-1 or 4-2 in the game, and then we beat them in the playoff semi-final to go to Wembley. So I think the game's probably come at a right time for us. It's a big game. It's one that lads are going to really want to impress in. And like I said earlier, hopefully the boys will put in a big performance.
And it's hard for us to maybe call what players will be like, how we'll play, how we'll set up. That makes it hard for Stockport to do from a scouting perspective. Yeah,
absolutely. I think it will be really a case of they won't have much homework to do, because, as you said, there's just so many unknowns. I guess it could kind of maybe go both ways. So, we'd like to think that, the new guys will come in and hit the ground running and obviously be keen to impress. And, there's a few debuts out there as well. So hopefully, they'll really sort of be up for it and just eager to get out there and play. At the same time, Stockport won't know kind of have anything to go on in terms of what these players have been like at their previous clubs. So I think it's a sort of, as George says, not a free hit, but it's going to be a case of, as much as we want these new players to come in and hit the ground running, it is going to take a little bit of time. They're young players. Obviously Richie has very specific ways in that he likes to set his team up and how he wants the team to look. So, it will take a little bit of adjustment for them to kind of get in the rhythm. But, hopefully it's a good start today.
Absolutely. No, our formation had Favour Fawunmi in the 10 position. You'd expect Ollie O'Neill to be in there, perhaps. I don't know. As we say, it's hard to work out. Yeah,
difficult to tell. It's hard because, especially with Ollie's one of those players that I really like Ollie as a player, because he's versatile in the attacking areas. So you can play him off the left and he's really comfortable. But I also, recently in a few games, he's played in the 10 role, and I like him because he always wants to take the ball. His positioning when we have the ball as a team, but he's not on the ball, is excellent. It's one of his biggest attributes, and it really goes unnoticed. So his tactical aspect of the game is understanding of where to be whilst the team has the ball, and that's for getting off the ball, because when we don't have the ball, his pressing's incredible. So I think that's a real gem to his game that he has that a lot of players don't actually have, and it's really hard to add that to your game when you don't have that natural game understanding. It's something that coaches really struggle to implement into players' games. But for Ollie, it's all about, I think, hopefully we can go into some deep analysis today in the game, and I'll try and explain what I mean. But we call it rest position, or Richie uses it as rest position. His rest position is excellent, so he's always in the right place for a counter attack. He's always in the right place, and he manages his distances well in terms of being able to press, but being able to also regain the ball and counter attack on a transition. So whether Ollie plays in the 10 or out left, I think Theo, you can mix it around. Theo can obviously go from wing back to right wing to left wing. So Favour can play in the 10, can play out wide on the right. So having that fluidity in the front three, I think is only going to be a major added bonus for this team.
And George, sorry, just going back to Ollie, I think it's really interesting what you said about him, because we spoke a couple of weeks ago, didn't we, Ollie, about that new position for him in the 10, and I thought he looked really good and really at home and natural in there. One of my things about Ollie, I think he's obviously super talented, really good player, but sometimes I'd like to see him like just kind of, when he's on form and he's on song, like kind of just almost like puff his chest out and like be a bit more demanding. Do you know what I mean? Like a bit like kind of like what we see from Aaron Connolly. Like when
absolutely.
Aaron's like he wants to be the main man. He wants players to give him the ball when he's on song and when he's on form. I'd like to see that from Ollie. What's he like mentality wise?
It's really funny that you mentioned that, Joe, because I think a lot of that is about players' inner confidence and how they play and their characteristics. And I always think it's no coincidence that how you can sometimes be off the pitch can transcend onto the pitch. Yeah. So, for example, using an Aaron who is very extrovert and very loud on and off the pitch. Yeah. When he's in that form on the pitch, it is that puff of your chest out, and it is that give me the ball, and it is that I'm going to do something, and it is that I'm going to win the game for us. Yeah. But then when he's off the pitch, he's also loud constantly, and he's making jokes, and he's this and he's that, and on top of that, he's got incredible ability. So he's a great footballer. Whereas with Ollie is, I would say, more of an introvert. He's very quiet. I love Ollie to bits, but it's something that now we've had this conversation, I'll probably go back to the training ground next week and speak to him about it in a one-on-one, because I completely agree. There's moments where Ollie's playing and I'm like, okay, you've started the game really well, first 10, 15, now kick on. Yeah. Demand the ball, and when you get it more, drive. And sometimes, and again, that can be a confidence thing. And maybe lingering in the back of Ollie's head, when he first signed, that period of 4 or 5 months where he was here and he hit the ground running, he was insane. Yeah. And then sometimes it can linger in the back of your mind as a player, like, I want to get back to that form. It's almost like my brain's telling me what I want to do, but my body's not quite. Similar to when I came back from my injury, that gap I had in between before I re-ruptured, it was like, I know what my brain wants to do because I know I can do it. Yeah. But then it's that believing in yourself to get back to that level. So I think with Ollie, it's just a case of playing games consistently and gradually building, and hopefully over these next however many games there are left, I imagine he'll play most of the games, is just to work on when he's in that moment and in that form of, you can tell the game's suited to him, to really take it to him, because he's got the ability to do that. Absolutely.
A couple of the signings, let's move on to the permanents, which are pretty exciting. Obviously we have Toby Oluwayemi, who has come on a short-term contract, but it's James Morrison at left back, who we've maybe not had a permanent left back for a long time. You obviously Jack Curry on line and Tayo, but now he's in there and he's come from the Championship. But it's Dylan Levitt, Welsh international, and we've maybe struggled to nail down those two centre mid positions. He's a really exciting one on paper.
Yeah, he is, and I think he's got really big shoes to fill, because obviously we know how important and influential Idris is and has been for the last couple of years. Obviously, went away, but previously on loan. So, he's been a mainstay in there really, and he's vital. And I think often when Orient play well, he's often at the heart of it. And he's kind of that, for me anyway. I feel like he's that all-action midfielder who's got a bit of everything. He can break play up, he can pass it. He's dynamic. He's got that change of pace in the middle of the pitch, which I think is so rare for a midfielder. So, yeah, he's obviously really important in there, but big opportunity, for Levitt to come in and hopefully, he can really establish himself and and take one of those midfield spots, which I think we have struggled with too.
I think just touch on that point that Joe made there as well. I think if you were to ask the manager, I think the gap that was left since Brownie's left, he's really wanted to fill with, you know, getting that double pivot in there, and obviously losing Idris as well during the season hasn't helped at all. And seeing Dylan train at the stadium over the last couple of days, he looks really sharp. He looks like a really good footballer. So when you've got Tyreek in there who can break up plays, an incredible athlete, gets around the pitch fantastically, and then to add Dylan in there now, hopefully if Dylan can stay fit, I think they can. And obviously having Sean's a blessing because he can play in so many different positions on the pitch. So I think the manager will be really pleased with the signing of Dylan, because losing Brownie last season, and it's probably fair to say that the players that have come in and played in that position this season probably haven't hit the heights that Brownie hit. And to have Dylan now, and to have Sean that can play in there, and have Tyreek, and then hopefully Idris comes back sooner rather than later. He seems to be doing really well in his rehab. I think we'll be pretty safe in that centre mid position for the rest of the season.
And the final kind of nod to maybe the January business is the outgoings, and the big one's Omar Beckles. I mean, sad to see him go. Fair to say a club legend, over 200 games for the club. Sad to see him go.
Definitely a club legend. You know, top guy. Obviously, I didn't play with him here. As I left, he was coming in, but I know him personally. Great guy. Fantastic for the football club, on and off the pitch, as I'm sure Jordan would agree. You know, he spent the last 2-3 years with him day in, day out. Brilliant guy, so influential, I think, just in terms of, you know, not just what he's done and, you know, the promotions, but just how he is around the place, you know, his involvement with the community, how he is with the players, as a captain, as a leader. Big loss, but yeah, I think, you know, he should really be celebrated for his time here, and just, you know, how much he achieved at the club. And how much it meant to him as well, you know, just speaking to him all the time. He was really sort of invested, and you know, he felt like this was his hometown club, you know, like, so from growing up here, going away, and then coming back home, I know it meant a great deal to him. So I'm sure he'll look back with real pride about the success that he enjoyed here.
We'll miss Omar, we will. But that opens the door for the new captain, and the last bit of January business was maybe off the field technically. Will Forrester, the new club captain, Idris, the vice captain. He obviously hasn't been here for very long. Will, do you think that's a bit of a call from Richie to really kind of put a bit of fresh air into the squad? Yeah, absolutely. Before I go on to that, Ollie, I'd just like to add on to what Joe said, because I think it would be unfair for me not just to quickly talk about Omar, because he's a very special person. Not just a great football player, but one of the best guys that I've ever met in football, and I've been playing football for 13 years professionally, and I can't speak highly enough of him. I've obviously had a traumatic time here personally, going through what I've gone through with my back-to-back knee injuries, and he's constantly there. When I was playing with him on the pitch, he was constantly there. A fantastic leader on the pitch, off the pitch. Always there for me, always a text or a phone call away. The amount of times he checked in on me, we had some really deep conversations about life, and yeah, I think it's a massive loss for the football club, but at the same time, like Joe touched on, you know, he's going to be a legend here, and I watched Rich in his interview speak about him, and I thought it was really touching. So he deserves all the praise in the world, and obviously he's gone to one of my old clubs in Gillingham now, so I hope he does really well there. Yeah, not a bad word to say about Omar. I think he's a fantastic character. And on to Will, I think that from what I've seen of Will, I think he's an excellent footballer, and he seems a really good leader, and he likes to take the ball. We actually had a private conversation in the changing room, I think it was last week, and I actually said to him, what do you love to do? And he loves to take the ball and break lines. And when I hear a centre-back say that to me, as much as people say, oh, centre-backs are there to defend, as being a winger, I love hearing the attacking stuff. And the first thing he said was, I want to break as many lines as possible. I want to take the ball, I want to drive through it, I want to pop it into the striker, the 10, the centre mids. So he's a really progressive defender. And I think he's going to be a really good addition to the group. Well, looking forward to see what he does with the armband today then. Just a reminder, of course, kick-off is just under 5 minutes away, so if you haven't done already, make sure you head over to the Match Centre on the club website to pick up your streaming passes. International fans, you can watch with us here on Orient Live, and UK-based fans, you can pick up an audio pass to listen to the match commentary. But now let's take a look and see how Dave Challoner's side line up for this afternoon's fixture. So here is Stockport. In goal is their number one, Ben Hinchcliffe. Across the back three, it's Josh Dakers-Cogley, Brad Hills and Ethan Pye. Jack Diamond, Odin Bailey and Adetayo Eden are in the midfield, with Oliver Norwood, who is the captain, of course, and Olawafe, Kyle Wooten and Ben Osborne are in those attacking positions And on the bench is Corey Adai, Joseph Olowu, Roman Dixon, Malik Mothersill, Lewis Bate, Josh Stokes and Adama Sidibe. Let's take a look at some of their recent form and the goals they've scored, Joe, but we recognise a lot of those names from maybe the games we played last year. Just some really good League One players in there, isn't there? Yeah, definitely. Really strong team at this level. You know, for the last couple of years, been, you know, in and around a conversation, looking to get promoted to the Championship, and they're thereabouts again this season. You know, I think they actually recruit really well as well. I think like the profile of player that they sign, you know, really suits the way they want to play and how they do things. I think, you know, obviously in midfield, really strong. You know, Norburn, good quality in there. They got goal scorers, they got solid defence. I think all round they're just a really good outfit, to be honest. I mean, Challoner's a very good manager. I think the stat is that he's in a season that's finished, where he's done a whole season as a manager, he's never finished outside of the playoffs. Probably shows you the intent they've got going into this one and going into the rest of the season. Yeah, absolutely. He's a fantastic manager, and like we said, he's been there for a while now, so he's got the stability in his team. I think he's got the stability at the whole club, really. I think the fans, you know, adore him. I think the hierarchy there really trust him, and his results would show that. Football's a results business, and they've been in some really good form. I think you just have to look at their bench, really, to see the quality that they've got to bring on. Obviously, like Joe touched on there, they've got some great. Ollie Norwood's a fantastic centre midfielder, dictates play. Odin Bailey, I played with at Birmingham, really technical. They've got the top striker in the league at the moment, joint with Dom in Carl Wootton. I think a massive thing today is going to be Jules. I think, like Joe mentioned earlier, they're a very physical side, and I think Richie has probably been a little bit unhappy with our competitiveness in terms of Jules. And I think going away to Stockport, you've got to match them physically. And if you can do that, let your football do the talking, and fingers crossed we're leaving here with 3 points. Yeah, and enough of Stockport chat, Joe. For us, it's a bit of a fresh new start, and I think we touched on it earlier, but what a way it would be to go and get a statement victory here with this fresh new squad. Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, like you said, Ollie, fresh is the word. You know, I feel like there's a bit of a buzz, a bit of an excitement. You know, it almost feels like kind of like a new chapter. You know, with all the new additions and how the team just looks so different from even what we've seen from earlier in the season. But yeah, really exciting, and I'm looking forward to seeing the new signings. How confident are you, Jordan? Do you know what? I'm actually quietly confident. Yeah, I am. And I think a lot of that is based on two things. One being the previous two results. So I'm expecting a reaction from the team. And secondly, actually three things. Secondly, we've had a couple of really good intense meetings in the last couple of weeks, and I think some things got aired out, and I think that'll only make the team stronger. And then lastly, all the new additions, I think, like Joe said, I don't know how Stockport are going to prepare for this. I mean, I don't even know what I'm about to watch. So I think I'm excited to see how the boys do. And yeah, hopefully it's a team that produce a performance with loads of intensity. I think they're going to press them really high. I think he's going to want to get in their face, make them feel really uncomfortable. But a game that I'm looking forward to, and yeah, quietly confident. Well, we're bringing you all of the action here on Orient Live, and kickoff is very nearly upon us. So, in this fresh new dawn, let's hand over to Dave Victor and Matt Hiscock.
Good afternoon and welcome to Edgeley Park, where it's cold but it's dry, and it's going to be a fascinating afternoon. A very busy transfer window for both the Hatters and the O's. 7 in for Stockport County, most of their business done earlier in January. 9 in, 9 out of course for Leyton Orient. 5 came in on transfer deadline day, and Matt Hiscock 4 start this afternoon.
Yeah, remarkable, isn't it, Dave? I think you've just got to almost start today a blank sheet of paper, because it feels like that, as you say. New additions, lots of activity for the O's. 5 changes in today's starting lineup from last weekend's defeat at home to Port Vale. And as you say, of those 4 debutants for the O's this afternoon, Oluwayemi, Morris, Levitt and Fawunmi. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. All the games in the EFL are going to kick off slightly later. It's 1 minute past 3. That's because every minute matters. It's a campaign led by the British Heart Foundation, and of course on an afternoon like this we all remember the late great Justin Edinburgh and support the work of the JE3 Foundation. Well,